My name is Gary Mead, and I've owned and operated my own company for the last 42 years, Fruitful Furnishings. We are now Gary Mead Gallery, LLC, and this particular piece was the one that I communicated with the most. A lot of people don't get how a human being can communicate with something that is not. It's fairly hard for me to understand too, but I do it and it happens. And this particular piece I had the most communication with that I made. This took from 2008 to 2009. It took me a year and a half to compose this. I don't build furniture, I don't craft furniture, I compose furniture. My life is about wood and words. So anyway, I walked up to this tree dead standing in the woods 5 miles from here, and it was hollow. And my first inspiration, I said, oh my gosh, that'd make a beautiful pantry. So I got excited, went to get a logger to help me cut it down. Nobody wanted to touch it. About a year and a half later, because I was introduced to this log in 2006, and by early spring in 2008, I saw it laying on the ground. So I wrote a poem about it. This is the only piece in my gallery as well that I wrote 2 poems. They were about a year apart. And the second one, the first poem is called Hollowed Log. Now that was my inspiration, what I was going to do with it, and so on. A year later, I had the thing hollowed out. I hollowed this out with a chainsaw. And I had the bottom, there were no top, there was just the bottom. The whole log had been cleaned up and the inside was done. And I was going one night after work with 2x3 blocks with a screw gun, and I was going to screw blocks on the inside wall to put shelves going across. It was a cold March night. Something inspired me to not do that. As soon as I walked up with the drill, there was this negative kind of feeling going on. So I said, heck, I'll go home, to hell with it. Maybe I'll think of what I have to do tomorrow. So I started my truck, put my tools away, and I went to leave, and I had another little inspiration that said, well, you really can't leave either. So I said, all right. So I write a lot. So I had pen and paper in the truck. I took it out. I took a 5-gallon bucket. I turned it upside down, and I just sat there and I started writing. I spent about an hour and a half that night composing this second poem called Perpetual Dreams. And they were almost a year exactly apart, and they were both in March. And after spending an hour and a half there, when I was leaving, I said, well, I really don't understand yet. Perpetual Dreams, actually, I wrote my whole experience of that night down, but I didn't get the communication process until I was leaving. So I'm leaving from this piece, and I reaching for the handle of my truck, and the vision of the this is a hemlock log, and inside I have another hemlock log, thus the child. Now that was the night the child was born in my mind, and I went from being this piece of all the pieces I made. I tell people, in redneck terms, it kicked my ass the most, but it was actually the most difficult piece that I created. I got stuck a few times, and I've learned as well, I'm not a craftsman or artist by choice. I've been chosen to do this. I looked at it as a curse for a long time. That's another story for another day. But about 10 years ago, I realized I've been handed this gift of passion, and I really have to encourage it, and I want to do as much of this now, before I go to the other side, and this makes people happy to see this. So I deliver happiness. So I went and I harvested this, and I want to explain what happened that night. You see the inside of this, how it flows. if there were 2x3 blocks screwed to the inside of her with shelves going across, it would have disrupted the whole flow of this piece. Okay, so I was going to screw 2x3 blocks and she wouldn't let me. I had this negative feeling, so you know, I sat and I wrote, but what ended up happening is I got the vision of the small tree inside the big tree, and that was the night mother and child. The child was born inside the mother. I had to go harvest this piece of wood, kiln dry it, but at least I was at ease because I wasn't stuck anymore. And what ended up happening here is I made all these shelves that spin individually. And there are 3 seasons of grapevine. We have winter harvest, spring harvest, and late summer harvest. And that's what I use for trim on this particular piece. All the pieces that I make come apart, and as massive and as hard as it looks to move this piece, in a half an hour, easily, I can dismantle this, have it wrapped in blankets, and on my truck ready to be shipped somewhere. And this piece actually has been sold. And as an artist, I can't be more pleased where it's going, because this is going to end up 15 miles from where it grew. And there were times when I thought this was going to end up in Asia or someplace, you know, it almost went there, but you know, that's another story that we communicated 3 years after I did this, because this was 08 and 09. It was about 2011. Somebody offered me a lot of money for her, but she was going to Asia. She wouldn't let me sell her. Now, we weren't ready to go our own way now, but the new owner is about 18 miles, 20 miles from my mill, and he said, I'll give you a key to my house, you can come visit her anytime. I'm not that crazy, but you know, this is a big part of my life, and I've had many people stand in front of this, and when they open the doors, I see tears form in the corners of their eyes. And as an artist or a composer or whatever, you can't get a better feeling. I don't care how much money some people pay you. You can't get that feeling from anything that isn't real. And it's a very inspirational piece. It was a disease for me, I thought, for a long time. And I wrote a poem called The Addictive Cursed Gift. And that was when I finally understood what my purpose is here. And just because it's hard, don't get rid of it. But you know, when I get going on something, I can't sleep, I don't eat, I don't communicate with anybody. And you know, girlfriends and whatnot, or you know, weeks at a time, I just vanish. And most of them don't get it, but I finally found one that really does. And you know, it's one thing if you're out drinking, running around, but you know, when you're sucked into something like this is my life. This is what I do, and I raised 3 wonderful sons, and I have a great life. And you know, I'm very successful in my business, but I'm telling you, this took 360 hours of my personal time to make. This is the shop diary, where I write everything I wanted to show you. This is where I found the log in the woods. Mm-hmm. And this drawing is done with plants. This drawing is done with plants. These are the trees that were in the background, but this is the mother and child laying on the ground. And this part that was void is what you're looking at here. And but anyway, we drew this with plants, but this is how I do a handwritten shop diary. I do it on all my pieces, and it's documented. Every piece I make has a story, and I keep they're not in books like this. This is the only one that's in this kind of a book. Most of them are just written in a notebook. But this was, a friend of mine bought this for me. It's a bamboo leaf book. And she thought it'd be special to write down my hours in this, which is wonderful. So I'm going to end with the 2 poems that I wrote with this. Go with the piece. This piece has been sold. It's going to go to its new home in a few weeks, and I'm very excited to get it into the new home and also to open the space to put something else here. So, and anyway, I'll be looking forward to seeing you at the show. I'm pretty, as long as I have it, I'll be there. I write children's books and poetry and do woodworking. And my name is Gary Mead, and I love life. So I wrote this poem 3/18/08, and when I first purchased this piece of heaven, and it's called Hollowed Log. Purchased for myself a hollowed log, can't stop thinking about it since I saw it. Laying there grounded from winter's winds, so peaceful and so very beautiful she is. A direct member of the hemlock race. Its insides are now soft due to the rot. The outside hard as nails, believe it or not. You say bury or burn that ugly thing. Oh, stop right there now. You are making a sin. I have a vision, a way to rejoice this tree. Just a small seedling over 100 years ago. This old timer about 56 inches across. The hairs on the back of my neck stand right up. And these prickly feelings spark up ideas all at once. Pull out the rotten wood and save the shell. Now into my truck and into the dry kiln. My, what a beautiful thing. Now into my shop with this piece of heaven, giving it a facelift with love and care. And there go those goosebumps up my spine again. Can I be losing self-control? I really do hope so. Gonna go wild on this old-timer tree. Getting away from politics, news, the economy. We sit here in the shop staring at each other. We shall fall in love during our time together, exchanging stories throughout the days. And in my shop diary, I shall write it all down. And under your bark, I will find your new face. I hope you do not look at me with disgrace. Not yet knowing too much about your integrity. We just met, so that is yet to be felt and seen. And the beauty you will radiate when we are through shall be looked upon as a beautiful union between a tree and a man. And to each other so much we really do understand. As I polish you inside and out, installing your shelves, life will be coming back to you a little at a time. And the thrill we get, not only good, but divine. I am very honored to be in your presence. Want only to earn respect and honor from you. It's become my goal and fuel for my soul. And to see you coming back to life once again sets me back on my heels for many years to come. Okay, Hollowed Log I wrote 3/18/08. This poem was written 3/10/09. This was a year later. And this goes along with the story that I told of the night that the child was born. And this is the poem I wrote, Perpetual Dreams. Keep feeling sounds of songs deep from within. They are the kindly songs you hear that makes you glad to be alive to feel. I may as well shut the truck engine off. It seems I am not going anywhere right now. Staying here to soon meet my connection. Summoning my attention to find more direction. And I'm not really sure what or who I am meeting tonight. All I know for sure is that I have to wait here and see. Spirits uplifting on the wings of a prayer. That's the stuff we should try to stick with. So from now on, put it in your future plans. Crawl, then to a walk, and later to be running. Run, then to a walk, and back to crawling again. Just a glimpse of something off in the distance. Coming across the wetlands to the grass and trees. Not really sure what or who I am meeting tonight. All I know for sure is that I have to wait here and see. Buried in the obvious, right in front of us, we all have a certain distance that we must be going. It's getting cold and I think I need my jacket. Daytime again passing as night slips into place. The darkness and cold make me want to go home. Buried here in another dream of mine going on. A dream coming true to see with my own eyes soon. And I'm not really sure what or who I am meeting tonight. All I know for sure is that I have to wait here and see. There goes that soul-tickling song again playing. My beating heart now waking up all my senses. Daytime dancing and spinning in circles flowing about. It's almost as if there are many tiny little people inside my veins and purposely tickling me. Avenues in my mind are opening yet wider now. I think they must have been sleeping for a while, and I'm not really sure what or who I am meeting tonight. All I know for sure is that I have to wait here and see. Spirits delivered a message to me, hitting me like a brick. I feel the message, but my eyes are not seeing. My focus becomes foggy and my senses become weak. I sit on the bucket on the floor next to me. There is a cold wind blowing hard from the north, delivering a message to me, and I closed my eyes to listen. At first, the words are muffled and hard to understand. Don't blame the woolly bears for the cold winter we've had. Going for another joy no matter what the weather brings. Creating, dancing, singing, because it is now that you live. Just have to watch for the little hidden things along the way. And if under wraps, a swift sudden push will render them away. I stayed here and I listened for the past few hours tonight. And what I found was me, waiting for myself to get me to see. I rose from my sleep this morning with good intentions. Wanted to shave, but got distracted and ended up here. And this one's taking me the distance in my perpetual dreams. And I wrote that 3/10 of 09, and it was about from 7 p.m. to about 9 p.m. And I went home happy as a lark, slept like a baby. This was the night that the child was born in my mind. And it was an overwhelming feeling. Probably one of the most inspirational moments that I've had in my basically entire life. I was able to document it, and it's beautiful. I've had a lot of good things in my life, but this one here was particularly hard to understand. Basically, why this happened, how it happened, how I was able to get these little messages and actually listen to them. And you know, because I've had many people that walk through my gallery and they say, I get these visions, but I don't make them real. I do.